I built Harrison Manufacturing from nothing. 35 years ago, I started in a rented garage making custom metal parts. Now we employed 200 people and generated $40 million annually. I was 62 years old and ready to retire. My daughter Sophia was 31, smart, capable, and perfect to take over. Then she married Brandon. Brandon Chun was 34 when they met. Handsome, charming, with an MBA from a prestigious school. He worked in finance, talked about markets and investments with confidence. Sophia fell hard. They married after dating 8 months. I had reservations. Something about Brandon felt off. Too smooth, too calculated. But Sophia was happy, so I kept my mouth shut. After the wedding, Brandon started showing interest in the company, asked questions about operations, finances, succession planning, just trying to understand a family business. He'd say with that perfect smile, I brought him on as a consultant. Sophia insisted, said it would help them work together, build their future. Brandon was good at his job, smart, strategic. He identified inefficiencies, suggested improvements. Within 6 months, profits increased 12%. The board loved him. So did Sophia. Then I made a mistake. A big one. I announced my retirement plan. In 2 years, I'd step down. Sophia would become CEO. Brandon would be chief operating officer. Equal partners running the company. That's when everything changed. The announcement was made at our annual board meeting in January. I watched Brandon's face carefully. For just a second, I saw something flash in his eyes. Not happiness, not excitement. Disappointment? Anger? It vanished quickly, replaced by his usual smile. But I'd seen it. After the meeting, Brandon pulled me aside. Marcus, can we talk privately? Of course. We went to my office. He closed the door, sat down, composed himself carefully. I appreciate the opportunity. Really, but I have to be honest. COO feels like a secondary position. Sophia is running the show, and I'm just supporting her. That's how partnerships work. I said, you both bring different strengths. I have an MBA, 10 years of business experience. I've increased profits significantly. Don't I deserve equal consideration for the CEO position? I kept my voice calm. Sophia has been groomed for this role her entire life. She knows every aspect of this business. She's earned the CEO position. Because she's your daughter. Because she's qualified. Brandon's smile tightened. I see. Well, I hope there's room for negotiation over the next 2 years. There isn't. The succession plan is final. He left my office without another word. That night, Sophia called me. Dad, Brandon told me about your conversation. He feels like you don't respect his contributions. That's not true. I value his work. But this company was built for you. That hasn't changed. He's my husband. We're supposed to be a team. Can't you make them kusos? No, this is a family business. Your family. He married into it. There's a difference. Silence on the phone. Then quietly, he's not going like this. He'll have to accept it. But Brandon didn't accept it. Instead, he started planning. I didn't notice the changes at first. Small things. Brandon started arriving earlier than me. Staying later. Taking meetings I wasn't invited to. Just handling day-to-day operations, he'd say when I asked. Freeing you up for strategic planning. He was charming about it. Made it sound helpful. But something felt wrong. I started paying closer attention. Brandon had gotten friendly with 3 board members. The younger ones. Tech-savvy. Less traditional. He took them to lunch. Played golf. Built relationships. Networking. Sophia explained when I mentioned it. Building support for our leadership transition. Our leadership transition. Not hers. Ours. The language had shifted. Then I noticed documents going missing from my office. Nothing major. Old financial reports. Strategic plans. Historical data. Probably misfiled, my assistant Karen said. Want me to search for them? No. I'll handle it. I didn't tell her I suspected they weren't misfiled. They were stolen. I installed a security camera in my office. Hidden. Disguised as a pen holder on my desk. pointed directly at my filing cabinets and computer. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. At 11 p.m., long after everyone had left, Brandon entered my office, used a key I didn't know he had, went straight to my computer, tried to log in, failed. Then he photographed documents from my desk, financial projections, acquisition targets, confidential information. He was gathering ammunition for something. I just didn't know it yet. I didn't confront him. Instead, I started recording everything. Installed cameras throughout the executive offices, audio recorders in conference rooms. Everything legal, everything documented. If Brandon was planning something, I'd have evidence. 2 weeks later, Brandon called an executive team meeting. Department heads only. He didn't invite me. I found out from Karen, who heard about it from accounting. Mr. Harrison, I think you should know. Brandon scheduled a leadership meeting for tomorrow. Your name wasn't on the invite. Did he say what it's about? Strategy session, apparently. Discussing company direction. I checked the conference room schedule. Sure enough, Brandon had booked it, listed himself as meeting organizer. I made a decision. I'd attend anyway, uninvited, see what he was planning. The next morning, I walked into the conference room 5 minutes after the meeting started. Brandon was mid-sentence, standing at the head of the table. He stopped when he saw me. Marcus, I didn't expect you. Clearly, what's this meeting about? Just operational planning. Nothing that requires your attention. It's my company. Everything requires my attention. I sat down, looked around at the uncomfortable faces of my department heads. Please continue. Brandon's jaw clenched, but he smiled, always smiling. Of course. I was just discussing some organizational changes we're considering. Streamlining operations, reducing redundancies. What kind of redundancies? Well, for example, having both a CEO and a chairman. In modern companies, those roles are often combined. More efficient decision-making. My blood went cold. He was suggesting I step down early, eliminate my position entirely. The board approved the current structure. I said carefully, things change. Companies evolve. We need to be flexible. One of the department heads, Thomas from operations, spoke up. Brandon's right. We could move faster without duplicate leadership. Thomas had been with the company 15 years. Loyal, or so I thought. When did you become an expert on our leadership structure? I asked. Thomas looked uncomfortable. Brandon's been sharing some interesting perspectives about modernization, about competing in today's market. Has he? I looked at Brandon. And where exactly did you share these perspectives? Just informal conversations. Brandon said smoothly, helping people understand the changing business landscape. Without consulting me, you've been focused on retirement planning. I didn't want to burden you with operational details. Burden me in my own company. This meeting is over, I said. Everyone back to work. Brandon, my office. Now. We walked to my office in silence. I closed the door, turned to face him. What are you doing? I don't know what you mean. You're building a coalition against me, taking meetings without my knowledge, suggesting organizational changes that eliminate my position in my own company. Brandon's smile finally dropped. Your company. That's the problem, isn't it? You can't let go. Can't accept that younger people might have better ideas. Younger people? Or you specifically? I've doubled profits, modernized operations, brought this company into the 21st century. What have you done lately besides hold on to power? I built this company from nothing. Everything you're playing with, I created it. And now it's time to let someone else run it. Someone who actually understands modern business. Someone like you. Why not me? I'm qualified. I'm effective. The only reason I'm not CEO is because I didn't come out of the right DNA. You married my daughter 8 months ago. This company has been my life's work for 35 years. They're not equivalent. Brandon stood. We'll see what the board thinks. Is that a threat? It's reality. Times are changing, Marcus. You can adapt or get left behind. He walked out, left me standing in my office. shaking with anger and something else. Fear. Because I realized Brandon wasn't just ambitious. He was planning a coup. That night, I reviewed all the security footage I collected. 2 weeks of recordings. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. Brandon had been systematically meeting with board members. One-on-one conversations. Always off-site. Coffee shops. Restaurants. Golf courses. I couldn't hear what was said in those locations, but I could see the pattern. He was building support. One conversation I did record was in our conference room. Brandon and Thomas. After hours. Marcus is out of touch, Brandon said. He doesn't understand digital transformation. We're losing market share because he refuses to innovate. What's your plan? Thomas asked. Get the board to force early retirement. Install new leadership. People who understand where business is going. And Sophia? She's supposed to be CEO. Sophia will support whatever I recommend. She trusts me. We're married. We're a team. My daughter. He was using my daughter to steal my company. I kept watching. Another conversation. Brandon and a board member named Phillips. Younger guy. Tech investor. Brought onto board 3 years ago. Marcus had his time, Brandon said. But this company needs aggressive growth. Acquisitions. Expansion. He's too conservative. What are you proposing? A vote of no confidence. Force immediate transition. Sophia as CEO, me as president. Marcus out. The other board members won't go for it. Marcus is loyalists. Not as many as you think. I've been talking to people. Building consensus. We have the votes. I rewound that part. Listened again. We have the votes. He'd already done it. Already secured enough board support to push me out. My own company. Stolen from underneath me. By my son-in-law. Using my daughter as cover. I sat in my dark office until midnight. Thinking. Planning. Brandon thought he was smart. Thought he'd outsmarted me. But he'd made one critical mistake. He'd underestimated the man who built this company from nothing. I didn't get here by being passive. By letting people take what was mine. I built Harrison Manufacturing through intelligence, strategy, and ruthlessness when necessary. Brandon was about to learn that the hard way. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Howard Green. We'd worked together for 20 years. Howard, I need to discuss corporate governance. Specifically, hostile takeovers from within. What's going on, Marcus? I explained everything. The meetings, the coalition, Brandon's plan. Howard listened carefully. This is serious. If he has board support, he could force you out. I know. What are my options? Depends on your corporate structure. How much voting control do you have? 51% of voting shares. The board has advisory power, but I have ultimate control. Then he can't force you out. Your voting shares protect you. Relief flooded through me. But, Howard continued, if the board votes no confidence and you refuse to step down, you'll create a massive internal conflict. The company could tear itself apart. So I'm protected, but not really protected. Exactly. You need to either maintain board support or prove Brandon is acting against the company's interests. What if I could prove both? Then you'd have options. Good options. I told Howard about the recordings, the security footage, everything I collected. That's excellent documentation. But Marcus, be careful. If Brandon discovers you're recording him, he could claim surveillance, privacy violations, make you the villain. What if I'm recording company property for security purposes? That's legal. Technically, yes, but it could still look bad. Be smart about this. I will. Thanks, Howard. I hung up and started planning. If Brandon wanted a war, he'd get one, but he'd fight it on my terms, with my weapons, using rules he didn't even know existed. I called a board meeting for the following week. Official, formal, full attendance required. Brandon looked surprised when he got the notice. What's this about? He asked, appearing in my office doorway. Standard quarterly review, I said without looking up. We just had quarterly review last month. Then this is an additional review. Is that a problem? No, just unexpected. Good. See you there. He left, but I could feel his suspicion. He knew something was happening. Just didn't know what. I spent the next week preparing. Gathered evidence. Organized recordings. Built my case. The night before the board meeting, Sophia called. Dad, what's going on? Brandon says you called surprise board meeting. Just addressing some operational concerns. He thinks you're planning something. Do you trust me, Sophia? Of course I do. You're my father. Then trust that I'm doing what's best for this company. And for you. Silence. Then, Brandon says you're trying to push him out. That you never accepted him. What do you think? I think you've been distant since the wedding. I think you don't respect his contributions. I think you're holding on too tight. My heart broke a little. Sophia, I love you. Everything I've done has been for you. Then why won't you give Brandon a chance? Why won't you treat him as an equal partner? Because he's not an equal partner. He married into this family 18 months ago. I built this company over 35 years. They're not the same. He's my husband. If you can't respect him, you're disrespecting me. Sweetheart, I have to go. See you at the board meeting. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone. Brandon had turned my daughter against me. Used her love, her loyalty, her trust. Made himself the victim. Made me the villain. Tomorrow, I'd show everyone who the real villain was. The board meeting started at 9 a.m. All 7 board members present. Plus me, Sophia, and Brandon. I sat at the head of the conference table. Brandon sat across from me. Sophia beside him. The tension was thick. Thank you for coming. I started. I've called this meeting to address serious concerns about company leadership and loyalty. Brandon interrupted. If this is about the operational meetings I've been holding, I already explained. Just routine management. Let me finish. My voice was cold. Hard. Over the past 2 months, I've become aware of activities that concern me. Unauthorized meetings. Unauthorized access to confidential documents. Attempts to build coalitions against current leadership. Phillips, the younger board member, shifted uncomfortably. Marcus, if you have specific accusations, you should make them clearly. I'm getting there. I pulled out a tablet, connected it to the conference room screen. I've been documenting certain activities for security purposes. Corporate property surveillance. Completely legal. Brandon's face paled slightly. What kind of surveillance? Let me show you. I played the first video. Brandon entered my office at night, photographing documents. The room went silent. This footage shows Brandon accessing confidential company documents without authorization. At night, after hours, using a key he shouldn't have. Brandon said quickly. I have authorization to access company documents. Not from my personal office. Not confidential strategic plans. Not without my knowledge. I played the next video. Brandon and Thomas in the conference room. Marcus is out of touch. He doesn't understand digital transformation. The board members watched. Some looked shocked. Others looked guilty. This shows Brandon discussing replacing me as CEO. Behind my back. Building internal opposition. That's just conversation, Brandon argued. Private opinion. Everyone's entitled to that. Let's see if it's just conversation. I played the recording with Phillips. A vote of no confidence. Force immediate transition. We have the votes. The room exploded. Multiple board members started talking at once. Phillips looked furious. You recorded private conversations? That's illegal. No, it isn't. I said calmly. Corporate property. Security surveillance. Fully within my rights as majority shareholder and CEO. This is a witch hunt, Brandon said. Standing. You're threatened by my success. By my ideas. So you're manufacturing a crisis. Sit down, Brandon. My voice cut through the noise. Sharp. Commanding. He sat. These recordings show a pattern. Unauthorized document access. Coalition building. Planning a corporate coup. Against the company's interests. Against the agreed-upon succession plan. I was trying to modernize. You were trying to steal my company. The words hung in the air. Using my daughter as cover. Using her love for you. Her trust. manipulating board members, all to install yourself as CEO ahead of the planned timeline, ahead of the rightful heir. Sophia spoke for the first time. Dad, that's not fair. Brandon has worked hard. He's improved profits. He's used you, sweetheart. Use your position, your relationship to me, your future inheritance, all to advance his own ambitions. That's not true. She looked at Brandon. Tell him that's not true. Brandon's face was calculating, trying to figure out how to spin this. Sophia, your father's paranoid. He sees threats where there aren't any. I've been trying to help this company grow, and he's interpreting it as betrayal. Then explain the recordings. I said, explain why you're photographing confidential documents. Explain why you told Phillips you had the votes to force me out. Context. Those were hypothetical conversations, exploring options, not actual plans. Hypothetical conversations about forcing me into early retirement, about taking over my company. I looked at the board members. How many of you did Brandon approach privately? For hand went up slowly, over half the board. And how many of you agreed to support a vote of no confidence against me? 3 hands stayed up. Phillips, Thomas, and another member, Williams. 3 votes, I said, out of 7. Not enough for a majority, but enough to cause serious problems. I looked at Brandon. You almost pulled it off. Almost convinced enough people that I was the problem, that you were the solution. Almost stole my company. I wasn't stealing anything, Brandon said through gritted teeth. I was trying to save it from your outdated thinking, your refusal to adapt, my refusal to hand you control after 18 months of marriage to my daughter. So that's what this is about. You can't stand that Sophia chose me, that she loves me, that I might be better for this company than you are. You're not better for this company. You're a parasite. You saw an opportunity and took it, married the boss's daughter, positioned yourself for a takeover, played the long game. That's ridiculous. Is it? Let me ask you something. When did you first become interested in Sophia? Before or after you learned about Harrison Manufacturing? Brandon's silence was damning. Answer the question, I said. When did you first pursue my daughter? I met Sophia at a charity event. We connected. It was natural. What charity event? I don't remember the specific name. It was 2 years ago. I pulled out another document. Metropolitan Business Foundation Gala, October 15th. An event specifically for manufacturing industry leaders and their families. An event where Sophia was identified in the program as daughter of Marcus Harrison, CEO of Harrison Manufacturing. An event where you specifically requested a seat at our table. Brandon's face went white. How did you, I call the event organizers, ask for seating records, donation records. You donated $5,000 to sit at our table. The table with the Harrison Manufacturing name on it. The room was silent. Everyone staring at Brandon. You targeted my daughter, I said slowly. Researched her. Positioned yourself to meet her. Started a relationship with the specific goal of accessing this company. That's insane. You can't prove that. I pulled out more documents. I hired a private investigator. Had him look into your background. Want to know what he found? Brandon said nothing. 6 months before you met Sophia, you were passed over for a promotion at your investment firm. Told you'd never make partner. Your career was stalling. You needed a new path to wealth and success. I laid out photographs. 2 months before the charity gala, you started researching mid-sized manufacturing companies in a region. Harrison Manufacturing was on your list. You looked into our financials, our leadership structure, our succession plans. You investigated me, your own son-in-law. After you started trying to steal my company? Yes. I turned to Sophia. I'm sorry you have to hear this, but you need to know who you married. Sophia was crying now. Brandon, tell him it's not true. Tell him you didn't plan this. Brandon looked at her. For a moment, something flickered in his expression. Maybe guilt, maybe regret. Then it hardened. Your father is paranoid and controlling. He can't accept that you chose someone outside his control. This whole investigation, these recordings, They're all just him trying to maintain power, to keep you under his thumb. Don't turn this around, I said. This is about you, your manipulation, your lies. No, this is about a father who can't let go, who sees threats in everyone, who would rather destroy his daughter's marriage than admit he's lost control. He stood, looked at the board. You all see what's happening here. Marcus is using corporate resources to attack me personally, recording private conversations, hiring investigators, creating a hostile work environment. If anyone should be removed, it's him. Phillips nodded slowly. He has a point. The surveillance does seem extreme. The surveillance uncovered conspiracy. I countered. Against the company. Against the agreed succession plan. Everything I did was to protect Harrison Manufacturing. Or to protect your ego. Brandon shot back. This whole meeting is about humiliating me. Showing everyone you're still in charge. Still the big man. He looked at Sophia. I'm not going to sit here and be attacked. I'm leaving. If you leave this meeting, you're fired. I said flatly. Brandon stopped. Turned slowly. You can't fire me. I have a contract. A contract that includes a morality clause. Conduct detrimental to the company. Unauthorized access to confidential documents. Building internal coalitions against established leadership. All violations. Those are subjective interpretations, not according to corporate counsel. I had Howard review everything. Your contract can be terminated for cause. No severance. No golden parachute. Just out. Brandon's hands were shaking. With anger or fear, I couldn't tell. Sophia, say something. Tell your father he's wrong. Sophia was staring at the table, tears running down her face. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to believe. You believe your husband, the man you married, the man you love, the man who maybe targeted me, she whispered, who maybe researched me like a business acquisition, who maybe saw me as a path to my father's company. Sophia, no, I love you. I've always loved you. Your father is twisting everything, making innocent actions look sinister. Then explain the charity gala, she said, looking up. Explain why you paid $5,000 to sit at our table, before we'd ever met. I was networking. It's what professionals do. You requested our specific table. By name. It was a coincidence. Was it? Her voice broke. Was any of it real? Our first date? Our engagement? Our marriage? Or was I just part of your business plan? Of course it was real. All of it. But it started as strategy. Started as you identifying a target, my father's company, then working backward to figure out how to access it. Through me. Brandon reached for her hand. She pulled away. Don't touch me. Sophia, please, I need time. I need to think. I need you to leave. Leave? Leave where? The meeting? The company? Everything. Our apartment. My life. I need space. Brandon looked around the room. At the board members watching his marriage crumble. At me, sitting calmly at the head of the table. This is what you wanted, he said to me. You wanted to destroy my marriage. Drive me out. Make sure Sophia never trusted anyone but you. I met his eyes. No, I wanted to protect my daughter from someone using her. If your marriage was real, it would have survived scrutiny. The fact that it's falling apart, that's on you, not me. Brandon grabbed his briefcase. I'll see you in court. For wrongful termination. For surveillance violations. For everything. Looking forward to it. I have excellent lawyers. He stormed out. The conference room door slammed behind him. Silence settled over the room. Sophia was still crying. I wanted to go to her. Hold her. Tell her everything would be okay. But I stayed in my seat. Let her process. This meeting is adjourned. I said quietly, board members, we'll reconvene next week to discuss the COO position and succession planning. For now, I'm resuming full operational control. They filed out. Most looked relieved. Phillips looked angry. Thomas looked guilty. When only Sophia and I remained, I finally moved, sat beside her. I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Sorry your marriage became collateral damage. Was it real? She asked. Any of it? I think parts of it were real. People are complicated. He probably did develop genuine feelings for you. But the foundation was rotten, built on manipulation and ambition. How did you know? What made you suspicious? Instinct. Something always felt off about him. Too perfect. Too interested in the business. Too eager to accelerate the succession timeline. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Would you have believed me? Without evidence. She shook her head. No. I would have thought you were being controlling. Jealous of my happiness. Exactly. I had to wait. Let him show his true colors. Give you undeniable proof. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid. You fell in love. Trusted someone. That's not weakness. That's being human. She leaned against my shoulder. What do I do now? You heal. You learn. You become stronger. And when you're ready, you take over this company like we always planned. Without Brandon. Without anyone trying to manipulate you. Over the next week, everything unraveled for Brandon. His termination was processed. Security escorted him out of the building. His access to company systems was revoked. Sophia filed for divorce. Fast. Decisive. No reconciliation attempts. Brandon tried calling her. Texting. Showing up at the apartment. She got a restraining order. He hired a lawyer. Threatened to sue for wrongful termination. For half of Sophia's trust fund. For anything he could get. But he'd signed a prenup. Strong one. Howard had insisted before the wedding. Brandon got nothing. The lawsuit for wrongful termination went nowhere. Howard presented the evidence. The recordings. The documented misconduct. Brandon's lawyer advised him to drop it. You'll lose, the lawyer said. And the court proceedings will make everything public. Every recording. Every manipulation. Your reputation will be destroyed beyond repair. Brandon dropped the suit. Within a month, he'd left town. Moved to another state. Tried to rebuild his career. But the story followed him. Word travels in business circles. People heard about the son-in-law who tried to steal his father-in-law's company, who targeted and married the CEO's daughter as part of a long-term plan. No one trusted him. No one hired him. Last I heard, he was working as a consultant, making a fraction of what he'd made at Harrison Manufacturing. Living alone, career in ruins, marriage destroyed, ambitions crushed. Sophia took it hard. Spent weeks barely leaving her apartment. I checked on her daily, brought food, sat with her, let her grieve. I trusted him completely, she said one evening. Believed everything he said. How did I miss the signs? Because he was good at what he did. Professional manipulation. You're not the first person to fall for it. Won't be the last. Do you think he ever loved me? Even a little? I think he convinced himself he did. Easier to play the role if you believe it. But was it real love? The kind built on honesty and respect? No, I don't think so. 3 months after the divorce, Sophia came back to work. Part-time at first, then full days. She was different, harder, more cautious, less trusting. I need to prove I can do this, she told me. Run this company, be CEO, without anyone's help, without anyone manipulating me. You don't have to prove anything. Yes, I do. To the board, to the employees, to myself. She threw herself into work, learned every department, shadowed managers, asked questions, built relationships based on competence, not family connections. The board noticed. So did the employees. 6 months later, I called another board meeting. I'm accelerating the succession plan. I announced, effective immediately, I'm stepping down as CEO. Sophia Harrison will assume the position. Sophia looked shocked. Dad, we agreed on 2 more years. You're ready now. You've proven yourself. The company respects you, trusts you. You don't need me hovering anymore. Are you sure? Completely sure. I looked at the board. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Sophia became CEO of Harrison Manufacturing at age 32. Youngest CEO in company history. She was brilliant at it. Within a year, she'd increased profits by 20%, expanded into new markets, Modernize operations better than Brandon ever could have, because she did it honestly, transparently, without manipulation or shortcuts. She earned every success. I stayed on as chairman, advisory role, let her run things. Only stepped in when she asked for guidance. Watching her succeed was better than any retirement I could have imagined. One evening, about a year after she became CO, we had dinner at my house. Just the two of us. Thank you, she said over wine. For what? For protecting me. From Brandon. From my own naivety. I didn't see it at the time. Thought you were being controlling. But you were just being a father. I squeezed her hand. I would have done anything to protect you. Still would. I know. I'm sorry I doubted you. You had every right to doubt. I was surveilling your husband, recording his conversations. It looked crazy. It looked necessary. You saw what I couldn't see. Knew what I refused to believe. She paused. Do you think I'll ever trust someone again? Fall in love without suspicion? Yes, but you'll be smarter about it. More careful. That's not a bad thing. It feels bad. Feels like he broke something in me. He didn't break you. He taught you. Painful lesson, but valuable. Now you know what real versus fake looks like. Real takes time. Builds slowly. Respects boundaries. Fake rushes. Pushes. Manipulates. When did you know for sure about Brandon? The charity gala research. When I found out he'd specifically targeted our table. That wasn't coincidence. That was strategy. How far back did you investigate? Far enough to find pattern. Brandon had researched 3 other manufacturing companies before settling on ours. Companies with daughters. Companies ripe for succession planning. We weren't his first choice, just his best option. Sophia looked sick. He had a list of potential companies to infiltrate through marriage. Not explicit, but the search history doesn't lie. He was looking for opportunity. Found it in you. That's horrifying. It is, but it also means you weren't wrong about everything. He chose you because you were perfect for his plan. Smart, capable, positioned to inherit. Those are real qualities. He just used them wrong. Small comfort. I know, but take it where you can find it. We sat in comfortable silence. Then Sophia asked, Are you happy? With retirement. I'm not retired. I'm liberated. I built something that will outlast me. Passed it to someone I trust completely. Watched her succeed beyond my expectations. That's not retirement. That's victory. 2 years after Brandon left, I got a phone call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Marcus? It's Brandon. My blood went cold. Why are you calling me? I wanted to apologize. For everything. For what I did to you. To Sophia. To the company. I said nothing. I was wrong, he continued. Ambitious. Arrogant. Thought I could outsmart everyone. Take what I wanted. I destroyed my marriage. My career. Everything. What do you want, Brandon? Nothing. Just wanted you to know I'm sorry. That I understand why you did what you did. You were protecting your family. Is this some kind of setup? Are you recording this? No. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of living with what I did. Where are you? Different state. Different life. Working in sales. Small company. Nothing like Harrison Manufacturing. Nothing like what I had. Good. I deserve that. I know I do. He paused. How is Sophia? Thriving. Running the company better than I ever did. Better than you ever could have. I'm glad. She deserved better than me. She did. She does. She's found it. Is she seeing anyone? Not your concern. Not now. Not ever. Right. Of course. Another pause. I really did love her, you know? In my own broken way. I just loved the company more. Loved the ambition more. Loved the idea of success more. That's not love. That's obsession. Maybe. Probably. He sighed. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. I understand now. What I lost. What I threw away. I live with it every day. Good. You should. I hung up. Blocked the number. That evening, I told Sophia about the call. He apologized? She asked. He said he did. Wanted me to tell you he's sorry. Do you believe him? I believe he regrets losing everything. Whether that's the same as being sorry, I don't know. Sophia thought about it. Part of me wants to hear the apology, face to face, get closure. And the other part knows it doesn't matter. Apology or not, the damage is done. He showed me who he was. I believe him. Smart woman. I learned from the best. She smiled. Besides, I'm too busy to worry about Brandon. We're expanding into 3 new states. Hiring 50. New employees. Revenue projections are through the roof. See? You don't need him. Never did. No. But I needed the lesson. Needed to learn that not everyone has good intentions. That success makes you a target. That family and business require careful boundaries. Hard lessons. The best ones usually are. 3 years after the board meeting, Harrison Manufacturing hit $50 million in annual revenue. Sophia rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. We'd gone public. Small offering. Maintaining family control. But growing. Expanding. Thriving. I stood beside her as cameras flashed. Proud. Relieved. Vindicated. Everything I had built. Everything I had protected. It had survived. Grown stronger. In better hands now. At the celebration dinner that night, Sophia raised her glass to my father, who taught me that protecting what matters isn't the same as holding on too tight. That love means tough choices. That family businesses require fierce guardianship. Everyone raised their glasses. I looked around the room. Board members who'd stayed loyal. Employees who'd worked for decades. Sophia, confident and capable at the head of the table. This was legacy, not just a company, but values, principles, the willingness to fight for what's right, even when it's painful, even when it costs relationships, even when people call you paranoid or controlling, because sometimes paranoia is just preparation, sometimes controlling is just protecting, and sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you need to watch most carefully. 6 months later, Thomas came to my office. The operations manager who'd supported Brandon's coup. He'd stayed with the company, kept his head down, worked hard. Mr. Harrison, do you have a minute? Of course. Come in. He sat down, looking uncomfortable. I wanted to apologize for supporting Brandon, for doubting you. I was wrong. What made you support him? He was convincing, talked about innovation, growth, made me feel like we were part of something cutting edge, made you seem like an obstacle. And now I understand he was manipulating me, using my ambitions against me, making promises he couldn't keep. What changed your mind? Watching Sophia. She's implemented everything Brandon talked about. Innovation, growth, modernization. But she did it honestly, with buy-in, with transparency. I realize that's what real leadership looks like. Not Brandon's backroom deals and secret coalitions. Thank you for saying that. And for the apology. Do you forgive me? I thought about it. Forgiveness requires trust. Can I trust you? Yes, absolutely. I learned my lesson. I won't be manipulated again. Then we'll rebuild that trust. Slowly. Through actions, not words. He nodded. Fair enough. Thank you for the second chance. After he left, I thought about forgiveness, about Brandon's phone call, about whether anyone deserves second chances after betrayal. Some betrayals were forgivable. Thomas had been misled, manipulated. Once he saw the truth, he corrected course. Brandon had been the manipulator, the architect, the one who targeted my family deliberately. That was different. That was unforgivable. I could accept his apology, acknowledge his regret, but forgive? Trust? Never. Some bridges, once burned, stay burned. 5 years after the coup attempt, I received an invitation in the mail, a wedding invitation. Sophia Harrison to marry Dr. James Park. The wedding was in 6 months. Sophia brought James to dinner the next week. He was 38. Emergency room doctor. Calm, steady, kind. He asked about the business, but not obsessively. Talked about his work, his family, his interests. Normal conversation, real conversation. After dinner, Sophia asked, "So, what do you think?" "I like him. He seems genuine." "That's it? No investigation? No background check?" I smiled. Already did the background check. Howard handled it quietly. James is exactly who he says he is. No hidden motives. No financial problems. No suspicious patterns. "Dad." "What?" "You expected me not to check." "I guess not." She laughed. "And he's clean. Good guy. Successful on his own. Doesn't need our money or company. He loves you for you." "How can you tell?" "Because he looks at you the way I looked at your mother. Like you're the only person in the room. Like everything else is just background noise." Sophia's eyes teared up. I was so scared. Scared I'd never trust anyone enough to fall in love again. "But you did." "But I did. And James knows everything. About Brandon. About what happened. He knows I'm cautious. Suspicious. He's patient with it. That's how you know he's real. Real love is patient. Doesn't rush. Doesn't push. The wedding was beautiful. Small ceremony. Close friends and family only. James's vows made everyone cry. "Sophia, you've taught me that love isn't just romance. It's trust. Built slowly. Earned daily. Protected fiercely. I promise to earn your trust every day. To be patient with your caution. To prove through actions, not words, that I'm worthy of your love." I walked Sophia down the aisle. Placed her hand in James's. Whispered, "Take care of her, or you'll answer to me." James smiled. "I wouldn't expect anything less, sir." At the reception, I gave a speech. When Sophia was born, I made a promise. To protect her, guide her, prepare her for the world. Sometimes that meant tough love, difficult decisions, painful lessons. I looked at her. "You've grown into an incredible woman. Brilliant CEO, fierce leader, careful guardian of what matters. I'm proud of everything you've become." And James, I turned to him. "Welcome to the family. Real family this time. Based on honesty, respect, trust. I know you'll take care of my daughter. Not because you have to, but because you want to." They kissed. Everyone cheered. Later, during the father-daughter dance, Sophia said, "Thank you for protecting me, for seeing through Brandon, for teaching me the difference between real and fake love. You learned that yourself. I just provided the evidence." "No, you provided the courage to face the truth, to walk away from someone who wasn't worthy, to believe I deserve better. You do deserve better. Always have." I found it. Finally. She looked at James across the room. "He's nothing like Brandon. Nothing." "I know. That's why I like him." "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't recorded Brandon? If you hadn't exposed him?" "Sometimes. Probably would have succeeded. Pushed me out. Taken over the company. Run it into the ground eventually. His ambition was bigger than his ability. And me? You would have discovered the truth eventually. Maybe after he'd destroyed the company. Maybe after he'd moved on to his next target. But you would have discovered it. I'm glad it happened when it did. Before kids. Before deeper entanglement. Before more damage. Me too. 7 years after the attempted coup, I officially retired. Sold my remaining shares to Sophia. Stepped down from the board. Fully. Completely. "Are you sure?" she asked. "You love this company." "I love you more. And I love knowing the company is in perfect hands. I don't need to hold on anymore." "What will you do?" "Travel. Right. Maybe consult for other family businesses. Share lessons learned. Like how to spot a son-in-law trying to steal your company? Exactly like that. I started a consulting practice. Helped family business owners navigate succession planning. Identify internal threats. Protect their legacies. Word spread. I became known as the guy who'd stopped a corporate coup, who'd protected his company and daughter. Business owners called me, asked for advice, wanted security assessments. How do you know who to trust? They'd ask. You don't. Not completely. But you watch. You document. You verify. And when something feels wrong, you investigate. Better be paranoid and safe than trusting and destroyed. What if you're wrong? What if the person is innocent? Then you apologize and move on. But if you're right, if someone is manipulating your family, planning a takeover, using love as a weapon, then the investigation saves everything. I helped 12 companies over the next 3 years. Found problems in 8 of them. Embezzlement, fraud, family members plotting against each other. Each time, the evidence saved the company, protected the family. One owner thanked me with tears in his eyes. My son-in-law was going to bankrupt us. Take everything. You saved my life's work. I just showed you what to look for. You did the hard part, facing the truth, taking action. How did you find the courage? To expose your own son-in-law? To hurt your daughter? Because protecting her was more important than her temporary happiness. Sometimes love means making people hate you, temporarily, until they see you were right. 10 years after the coup attempt, I wrote a book, Family Business Betrayal, How to Protect Your Legacy from Internal Threats. It detailed everything, Brandon's strategies, my countermeasures, the recordings, the investigation, the board meeting, all of it. Names changed for privacy, but the story was real. The book became a bestseller. Business schools use it as a case study. Family business associations invited me to speak. The key lesson I tell audiences is that family businesses face unique vulnerabilities. People marry into families to access wealth, power, legacy. Not always, not usually, but sometimes. And you need to be prepared. How do you balance trust and suspicion? Someone always asked. You trust but verify. You love but protect. You hope for the best but prepare for the worst. That's not cynicism. That's wisdom. Sophia came to one of my talks. Sat in the front row with James and their 2-year-old daughter, Emma, my granddaughter. After the speech, we had dinner. Emma sat in a high chair, played with her food. Happy, innocent, unaware of the family drama that had preceded her birth. She'll inherit all this someday, Sophia said, watching Emma. The company, the legacy, the responsibility. She will, and you'll teach her, like I taught you. I'll teach her to be careful, to trust slowly, to verify everything, and to fight for what matters, to protect what's hers, to never let anyone steal what she's worked for. Definitely that. James spoke up. Will you tell her about Brandon? About what happened? When she's old enough, Sophia said. When she can understand. It's part of our family history. Part of how we learned. Part of why we're still here. She's lucky, I said. She'll grow up with parents who understand that love isn't blind. That family isn't just blood. That businesses require fierce protection. She's lucky to have a grandfather who taught us all that, Sophia countered. We sat together. 3 generations, built on lessons learned through pain, through betrayal, through the willingness to fight for what mattered. Emma laughed, threw a piece of banana at me. I caught it, made her giggle more. This was what I'd fought for. Not just the company, not just the money, but family, real family, built on honesty, protected through vigilance, strengthened through surviving threats. Brandon had tried to destroy it. Instead, he'd made it stronger, taught us lessons we might never have learned otherwise, showed us what fake looked like, so we could recognize real when we found it. Now, at 70 years old, I look back on everything with clarity. The surveillance hadn't been paranoia. It had been preparation. The investigation hadn't been controlling. It had been protective. The confrontation hadn't been vindictive. It had been necessary. I'd been called every name. Paranoid, controlling, manipulative, vindictive. People who didn't understand said I destroyed my daughter's marriage. But people who understood knew the truth. I'd saved my daughter from a manipulator, protected my company from a thief, preserved a legacy built over 35 years. And I'd do it all again, Exactly the same way. Because that's what real love looks like. Not blind trust, not naive faith, but fierce protection, careful verification, the willingness to be the villain temporarily, to be the hero long-term. Harrison Manufacturing was now worth over $100 million. Sophia had tripled its value, expanded operations nationwide, built something even bigger than what I'd started. She'd done it without Brandon, without his innovation or his vision or his manipulation. She'd done it through competence, integrity, hard work, proving that real success doesn't require shortcuts, doesn't require betrayal, doesn't require stealing from those who trust you. One evening, Sophia called me. "Dad, I need advice. One of my managers is acting suspicious, meeting with competitors, taking documents home. Should I investigate?" I smiled. "What does your instinct tell you?" "That something's wrong, that I need to verify." "Then verify, document, protect the company. Better to investigate and be wrong than ignore and be devastated." That's what I thought. "Thanks, Dad." "Anytime, sweetheart. That's what I'm here for." I hung up and looked at the photo on my desk. Sophia, James, and Emma, my family, protected, secure, thriving. This was legacy, not just money, not just buildings, but wisdom passed down, lessons learned, the knowledge that some people will try to take what's yours. And when they do, you fight back, with evidence, with strategy, with the recordings they don't know exist. Brandon had tried to steal my company. Instead, I'd given him exactly what he deserved. Nothing. He'd lost everything. The company, the marriage, the career, the future, because he'd underestimated the man who'd built an empire from nothing. And that was the real lesson. Never underestimate someone who's fought for everything they have. They didn't get there by being naive. They got there by being smart, strategic, and absolutely ruthless when necessary. My son-in-law tried to poison my company, so I switched the cup, and he drank his own poison instead. Justice, perfect, deserved, and I recorded every moment.